Alright, so I'm going to start by checking the oil. I want to see if there's any oil in there. The C3 Corvette generation is from 1968 to 82. Now with the 350 small block engines, the oil dipstick is over here. I'm on the driver's side. It's kind of below the master cylinder, the brake master cylinder. You got to reach down in there and to get to it. It's kind of tough. So let's pull this out. And okay, let me show you guys that. Alright, so there is oil in there. Hopefully that's focusing. It's really dark and it's just at the tip of the oil dipstick, so it's about a quart low. But anyhow, it's pretty dark, it's pretty black. Alright, so we know it has oil, so it's going to need an oil change. It's probably like 4.5 to 5 quarts. And we'll put a new filter on there, so we'll do that as one of our steps. Next thing is, let's check the, I want to check the radiator. I want to see if there's fluid in there. So let me get that radiator cap off and I'll take you guys in for a better look. Alright, so we're on the passenger's front here. Let's take this cap off, it's tight. There we go. It's pretty stiff. Alright. There's the inside of the cap. Let's look down in there. Get the flashlight. See if there's any liquid in there. Oh, I see some. It's probably 3-4 inches low, but there is liquid in it. It's kind of rusty looking. So, orange anyway. I don't know if it had Dex Cool in it or not, but we'll drain that. The radiator looks pretty new. I mean, it looks good up here anyway. Not many minerals in it. So we'll flush that out. We'll drain that and put fresh in. Next step, we're going to just see if there's transmission fluid in here. So this is on the passenger side. Let's pull this out. Now the real way to check your transmission fluid level is the car needs to be warm and you have to run it through the gears while the engine's in idle. That's how you would normally check it, but I just want to see, you know, we're just checking here. So that looks good. You smell it. It does not smell burnt. It's pretty much reddish pink like it should. So it looks normal. And there's no burnt smell there, so that's a good sign. So for now, we're not going to bother with the transmission. We need to focus on getting it running first. Alright, now I'm back here by the fuel tank filler. Just going to open this up, pull the cap, and I'm going to see how the gas smells. If it smells like turpentine, that's not good. So it really doesn't smell too bad. It smells stale, but not, I've smelled worse. So if it smells like real pungent, you know the gasoline is definitely shot. So what I think we'll do is definitely drain this tank. And I'll siphon the fluid out, get the old stuff out. I have no idea how much gasoline's in it. Alright, well I checked the battery with the tester. It was like 200 cold cranking amps, which is nothing. It needs to be like 500-600 cold cranking amps at least. So we're going to replace that battery. Any battery that's over 5 years old is on its last leg anyhow. So what I want to do now is I'm going to jack the car up. It needs the oil changed anyhow, and I need to get to the coolant to drain that, or to the radiator. So while I'm under there, I'm going to check that fuel pump, and I think what I'll do is I'll disconnect the fuel supply that comes in. That way we don't suck any of that crap from the gas tank if there is anything in there that's bad. And we'll set something up where I can start diagnosing that before I crank it. So these cars only need, I think, these engines 4 to 7 psi or something like that for fuel pressure. It's hardly anything. So I might try to rig something up where I can just get fuel in from the top, or even just have that disconnected and spray some carb cleaner in the carbs and see, you know, when we get to that point, when I crank it, if it wants to fire up. So provided that spark's good. Now what I'm also going to do, which is very important, is I'm going to hand crank over that motor. It shouldn't be frozen. I have no reason to believe that it's rusted in there in those cylinders, but I will hand spin that engine over through the crankshaft with the, you know, obviously with a socket and a ratchet. I want to make sure that moves. I may pull a cylinder or a spark plug out. This is a good idea if your car's been outside for a long time. Pull those spark plugs out, spray, Marvel mystery oil. Spray some of that in there and let it soak in. That way those pistons can be freed up. So I think that's something we'll do here before I start to bump it. I'm not sure. It is a good idea to do that. I was reading some of the documentation on this car. There's a big stack of papers. And I did find where a garage that was working on the car noted that cylinder 4 had low compression. So I don't know what that's about. I know this used to have another engine. I don't know if it was the old engine or this replacement engine. So we're not sure yet, but we're going to take it one step at a time. Let's not jump the gun. All right, so I'm under the car now. I got jack stands under here, safety stands. And I just checked the oil filter out. It has an AC Delco filter on it, which is a PF25. They haven't made that filter since like 2005, I think. They discontinued it. So we've got to get a different AC Delco filter for it. And we'll put that in there. The fuel pump's a little tight to get to, so I'm hoping that'll be okay. If not, we'll have to change it out or find out why it's not pumping. And other than that, I'm going to change the oil now, so I'll get to the coolant while I'm under here. I'm going to drop that afterwards because that can get kind of messy, and we'll take it from there. Check out this shiny chrome oil pan. Sweet. All right, I got a socket here on the drain bolt, and it looks like somebody stripped that a little bit, but it is a 13/16. Oh, it was loose. Wow. It was barely hand tight. Caught me by surprise. All right, and then the filter's right back here. That blue is the filter, so we'll get that off next. I got a oil wrench here, oil filter wrench. Let's see if this even has a washer on it. It should. It wasn't dripping. See how it looks. It's going to be black. There it is. It's pretty dirty. I like to change the fluid, when it's warm, change the oil because it'll flow out better, but beggars can't be choosers. We'll just let it flow like this for a little while. We're in no rush. Let me beat on this filter a little bit now. All right, I think I can get it by hand now. And before the new filter goes on, we'll fill it with oil and then put it back up in there. There it is. And there's oil in it, so that's good. That thing's just about done dripping here, so we'll put the plug back in. I don't know if you guys, let me see if you guys can see it. Yeah, it's PF25. They haven't made that in years. You can't get that. So anyway, we'll put this bolt back in. We'll give this a little snug, and we'll get that new filter on. I've got the wrong oil filter, so before I go get the other one, we're going to drain the coolant here. So this is the lower radiator hose. I'm just going to disconnect it. You can probably see it's got some weird looking crusty here stuff going on. It's kind of like orangey. Alright. Oh, look at that. It's crazy. Like an orange crusty just fell off. Came right off of there. Alright, trying to push the hose back now. I've got safety glasses on and my mouth is going to be shut. So I don't want any of this crap in my face or in my mouth or both. The petcock right here. I'm going to try to loosen that. Let's see what happens. It's dripping. I wonder if it'll stop dripping. Yeah, it looks like it'll hold. Small flathead or Phillips here, I mean. Let's see if I can unclog this petcock, because it does not want to come out too quickly here. I got the lower radiator hose disconnected, got the petcock tightened, and now I'm going to go up top and I'm going to pour water, just straight water through the radiator, let it run out, and then I'm just going to fill it with fresh antifreeze. And then after we get the car running, I'll let that circulate a little bit, and then we'll drain it again and I'll flush it again. And okay, I put the radiator cap on. Well, first of all, obviously I filled that radiator after I tightened up the hose and the petcock down there. I put a couple gallons of that in there, 50-50, and it's distilled water and antifreeze. And then we'll get to the next step. Got the new filter on, new oil filter, drain the old stuff, and I had a hard time getting a filter that worked. The Fram PH30 was a little bit wider than the replacement for the PF25. So now I'm just going to pour in, I filled that filter up, took about a half a quart of oil. So now I'm putting this Pennzoil in here, 10W40 for now. I'll put about 4.5 quarts, I guess, here. That'll be a total, but just about 5 quarts. And that'll be good enough to, crank it over. We're behind the driver's seat now. This is a little storage area, latch. Right behind the seat is the battery box. So obviously I've removed the old battery. It's out of here, and got the negative terminal. You always want to disconnect the negative terminal first and attach it last. Well, there's an 8mm terminal here, so I took that off. The one on the hot side, on the red, the positive, is completely stripped. You're not going to be able to see it, I don't think, on here. So what I'm going to do is get this out of the red connector here so that I can replace it, because it's completely stripped. It's very tight to get back in here when the battery's in. It's difficult, and putting it on and off with a pair of pliers is not the way to go. So let me pop this thing out. All right, so to replace this stripped terminal right here, what I'm doing is I just got a pair of pliers. You could use a pair of channel locks, and all you do is counterclockwise thread it out of here. So I've got that piece here. This is, now maybe you can see, it's completely shot on the end. It's all bungled up. So I'll get a new one. So this time, next time it has to get changed and put back in. It's done right. And I'll get a wire brush. I'm going to clean up this. There's some corrosion here. I'll get this all cleaned up on both terminals, the negative and the positive, and then I'll put some dielectric grease on there, and then I'll put everything back in. I got this part here, which is these little connectors or terminal bolts. It's DL606074, and they look like this. So that's got that 8mm right on the end. So you're good there. And I got my wire brush. Oops, there's my dielectric grease. I'm just gonna push it through, basically, right into that. There it is, and then it just kind of hangs in there. So got this side, and then it'll thread right in. So let's get the battery, and I'll get it hooked up. All right, let me feed that top intake into the gas, into the fuel tank down in there, and then the bottom's the discharge. I'll put that in my recovery tank that's down at the bottom. There's a couple of these here, 5-gallon job. Safety glasses, rubber gloves, doors open for ventilation, all that good stuff. All that safe stuff. Maybe you'll be able to see the fluid flowing here, I don't know. There it comes here. And once you get it going, it should start flowing on its own. Yeah, it's running into my can down here on the ground. fuel looks fairly clean. I don't see any rust in there. I think we're getting down to the end here. Alright, we hit bottom now. That's what she said. Because I'm not getting anything else, so that sucker's empty. I'm going to grab, I gotta go to the gas station. I'm gonna get 5 gallons of super unleaded. And the reason being that this engine is low compression because it has the blower is why we're gonna use super unleaded. B&M recommends high test for that stuff. So I think it's only 8 to 1 compression, something like this, pretty low. So anyway, we'll get some super. I'm gonna fill that up. And we're getting close. There's a couple of vacuum hoses that I need to address. We'll take a peek at that too.